Disclaimer: the following program features language not suitable for all audiences, and the expressed opinions found within this program are a reflection of those who feature on the PopCulture Effect podcast. Welcome to the PopCulture Effect. I'm Rockin Rob, and on this show I bring my closest friends together to talk about all of the news happening in our pop culture world around us. Hello everybody, welcome to a kind of impromptu recording of the PopCulture Effect. We were supposed to record, but then tragedy struck. But yeah, we are here. I am here with all of my wonderful friends except for one, but we've got the other Tyler, so it kind of balances itself out. But I'm joined by Gemini.
Hello.
I am joined I am joined by Menace.
Hello.
And I am joined by Subset.
Heyo.
And unfortunately Blaze is not here as he is renovating a house. So good on you.
He just didn't want to be here.
Okay, well, let's not look too into it, alright? Okay.
You're gonna make his anxiety go woo-woo.
Dude, how would that happen? None of us
going woo-woo?
How would anybody get anxiety from our group? Because none of us actually listen to the episodes after they go up.
I'm not talking about never mind, forget.
I actually did.
Oh, well, there we go.
I played it in the car once when we were driving home, and my passenger, I guess my driver, just couldn't stop laughing, but I don't think it was our jokes.
Yeah.
Are we just a joke?
If you're listening, keep laughing. We need the retention.
Please clap.
Please. Oh, I don't know why that killed me so much. Anyways. No, I didn't really know what to cover for this episode. However, there was one announcement recently that I really wanted to talk about, and that is the announcement of the new Fairly OddParents A New Wish TV series, which is set to come out in spring of 2024. And this is kind of a mixed bag because, I'm a big fan of the original Fairly OddParents, especially the Wishology trilogy and the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. But I don't really know how I feel about this because it kind of gives me the same vibes of the last few seasons of Timmy Turner's age of Fairly OddParents, where it was shifting focus away from him. And to start us off, Hazel, the new 10-year-old protagonist, she just moved into the big city of Dimmadelphia, and in coordination with her father's new job, and she is setting out to explore the city because she's feeling kind of alone with her brother Anthony leaving for college. And this is basically a whole new iteration of Fairly OddParents. However, Darren Norris and Suzanne Blakesley will reprise their roles of Cosmo and Wanda. And from what I heard from the intro that's been leaked on YouTube, and from what I can see from the visuals, the art style is going to be different. The voice actors sound a little bit old. They're not the exact same, which is commonplace. And yeah, I don't really know how I feel about this. Obviously, we're going to have to wait until it comes out and we get a full view of the show. Apparently, it is meant to be seen as like a sequel series because Cosmo and Wanda went into retirement. They were Hazel's new neighbors, and then I guess they noticed how miserable Hazel is with her being alone, and bada bing bada boom, you got new Fairly OddParents, and hopefully Hazel won't make a wish to halt everybody's aging processes like Timmy did. I would be remiss if I didn't add this in at the end because I really just want to talk about this specific aspect of the Fairly OddParents universe as a whole, but I just don't think A New Wish is going to be as good as the original series, because in Timmy Turner's age of the show, you had iconic characters like the babysitter Vicky, Chip Skylark, Trixie and Tootie Tang, Mark Chang. Oh, and how can I forget, obviously, Timmy's mom and dad and Dinkelberg, the Crimson Chin, Mr. Crocker, AJ and Chester, and yes, I know that they got rid of them in the later seasons to implement the newer characters like that Berry Dog and Chloe. The list just goes on and on for all of the iconic characters that were featured in the Fairly OddParents universe. And now with this focus on a new character with her new environment, I just feel like there may be a chance that these characters may return or be referenced in one form or another, but I feel without these kind of iconic characters, I don't think this show is going to do very well. I just truly cannot see a world where Fairly Odd Parents doesn't have that iconic line of "Very good parents." But like I said, it remains to be seen. It might be good for the new generation, but at least from my perspective, it could never match up to that OG Fairly Odd Parents show that I grew up with as a kid. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that real quick before we get into the gigantic section of episode that is the Palworld discussion. But anyways, I wanted this to be at the start of the episode just because I feel this is a bit more of important, relevant news, and I wanted to make sure it got to your ears as soon as possible. I'm gonna pass it back to my former self and my friends as we all take another deep dive look into the absolute explosion of a game that is Palworld. Anyways, so today we're gonna start off with something that we've been meaning to talk about for weeks and weeks and weeks, but it just never turned out. It is the thing that we talked about on our very first episode. It's Palworld, baby. This game freaking exploded. It went everywhere, and everybody was either praising it or whining about it. And after we've all had plenty of time to kind of get accustomed to it, I'd love to go through each of our overall opinions on it. So I know that you, Subset, and you, Menace, have had the most time out of it. I know, Gemini, you're more of a external viewer on it, but yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the game.
No comment.
Pokemon with guns.
It's a little bit more complicated than Pokemon with guns, even though that is the meme.
Well, okay, so the main reason why I want to talk about it is because it's honestly the biggest game of 2024. As of 3 days ago, the total number of players has exceeded 25 million, 15 million on Steam and 10 million on Xbox.
Wow, impressive.
And it's crazy to actually look at the active player base, because the active player, because I know there's a whole, not really controversy, but there was a whole news article where the player base just dropped. But if you actually look at the player numbers, it's still pumping out a lot of a player base.
The max concurrent players that it got to even exceeded Counter-Strike on Steam.
Wow, that's impressive.
A couple weeks ago, 2/3 of the players did drop, but I can understand because once you reach max level, which is level 50, and like you kind of catch all the mons and beat all the tower bosses that are in the game, you kind of have nothing else to do until these updates start rolling out, which the updates are going to be really cool. They got a really good roadmap.
But I'm definitely interested to see what they're bringing to the table, because like I feel like this game has like no limits to how much content can be put into it.
The first updates that they're adding is PvP between players, which is going to be more like a Rust or Ark. If you played those games, it's going to be more like that, where you have your bases, you have your mons protecting your bases, set up like turrets and stuff for them to manage, and essentially people can go in and raid your resources, which as of right now you can't do on the public servers, which are on Steam. There are no public servers on console, sadly. They said they will be adding those. But another stat that I really wanted to talk about was the amount of copies and stuff that they've sold. Just on Steam, in the first 6 days of the game being launched, they sold over 8 million copies.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been an insane jump. Going back to the updates, they said the first thing they're going to do is do key configuration improvements and improvement to the PAL AI, because they've been getting stuck and stuff. The AI wasn't really that good, but they have improved it since then.
They're a little stupid. It's okay, they're lovable.
They've been addressing a bunch of bugs that were causing crashes and server stability issues, loading screens that would go on for a long time. But the first big updates that they are going to do is PvP between players. They're going to add raid boss, which is going to be the new endgame content. So I'm guessing they're going to have like world bosses, like some of these games have, or like big mons that haven't come out yet are going to show up randomly, and it's going to take they said they want it to be like 30 to 50 people to take down these bosses.
And a server's credit.
And then another thing they wanted to do was for the top part of their updates is a PAL arena, so it's PvP for the PAL. So think of like the big arenas in Poke stuff.
Pokemon Coliseum or PAL?
No, not like that.
Policy?
No, that's completely different style of game.
No, I know. I'm saying like it'll be a big Coliseum where we'll be able to have PvP like Pokemon battles. Essentially.
Oh, I think it's more of like you'll be able to throw out your mons whenever, and you can a prompt will come up if you want to battle them or stuff like that.
I hope so. I've been waiting for PvP battles.
But I know as soon as that comes out in our world, I will be making a giant Coliseum for to have those battles in.
Oh.
Some of the other things.
I'm sorry. Before you go on to the rest of the updates, I need to address this. Have they even talked about or addressed the save file corruption issue?
They have. There was an issue where an error would occur while your world was doing the autosave feature, and it could essentially corrupt your world where it wouldn't save past a certain point. They have since then fixed that, but obviously worlds that have been that got corrupted before the fix came out are kind of still corrupted, and But going back to some of the planned updates on the roadmap is Steam and Xbox crossplay, various Xbox feature improvements, server transfers and migration with your characters and pals, improvement to the building system, which, I don't know, I think the building system is actually pretty good in this game. Very comparative to Ark as just a general comparison, where you have the auto lock feature on your stuff, or kind of like your buildings will snap into the placement on where you put it. And then they're going to be adding new bosses, new islands for you to explore, new pals to catch, new bosses, which are like the towers that I was talking about earlier, where you go in and you actually fight a trainer and their mon together, and new technologies, which is like the level up feature where you get different, you can get different workbenches, or you can get, my favorite one is they're like pal add-ons, I guess you could say, where some pals have specific moves that are unlocked by this skill tree, and then you go to the pal workbench and you can create a rocket launcher for one of the little penguins, and then you actually load the penguin into the rocket launcher and you can fire it. It does knock out the mon in the process, but yeah, it does like the most damage out of any weapon that you can actually build in the game.
Are you serious? They look ready to fly, honestly, especially with them being flightless birds.
But yeah, there's also ones like you build this harness for a little Firefox mod, and you can pick him up in your arms and use him like an actual flamethrower, like he spits out fire.
Oh, that one's my favorite, to be honest. I love holding them in my arms, cradling them.
My favorite is one I actually haven't gotten to yet. Is it's kind of the staple, and it's the picture for the Palworld kind of thing. It's called a Relaxosaurus, and it kind of looks like a Loch Ness monster almost, mixed with a dinosaur.
Come on, he looks like a human dino.
Well, mixed with essentially, like a long-necked dinosaur mixed with almost like a Loch Ness monster kind of thing. But you can get a missile launcher to put on its back, which will allow you to ride it around and then you fire off rockets from it.
Interesting.
It's a very chaotic game when you really get into the meat of it.
But the map is absolutely massive. It's got like 5 or 6 different biomes that you can go and explore, which all have mons proceeding to I don't even know, like that match up with the biomes themselves. There are different types of mons depending on the day or night. Like there's this fire lion that kind of looks like, the normal depiction of a chimera, where it's got like the lion head and the bear claws and stuff like that, and it's got wings. But you can get what's called a knocked version of it, and it's got like blue and purple fire on it, and its coat, instead of like tan, is all black, and it actually gives it a different typing for fire and dark instead of just the normal fire that the normal version is. I do hope that when they do talk about new pals, that there are new variants for some of the pals that are out there as well, because there are some like the Relaxosaurus I talked about is a water type, but there's a boss version of it out in the wild, which is an electric water type, and it's got like this sick ass electric mohawk on it, and it's yellow and black.
Or like Mammarist, where there's a grass ground, and just looks like a big ass green mammoth, and there's an ice version of it.
That's actually,
and it looks like it has snow on its back. It looks cute.
That brings another
adorable
point up. I love the fact that I was just saying I love how there's elemental variants to these mons. It gives it a little bit more diversity. They can palette swap some mons to fit different environments.
Mm-hmm. And some of the different, because most mons can actually learn moves not even of their typing, unlike, it's always compared to Pokemon. So unlike in Pokemon, where like electric types can only learn electric types and normal moves and stuff like that.
Well,
I'd
have to disagree with you there, but I'll let you continue.
No, I have a mon who is literal just fire typing, and she has electric moves, water moves, grass moves, normal type moves, fire moves. And my favorite thing about this whole system is you're not just stuck to the 4 moves that you get like in Pokemon. Once again, they they come in forms of fruit. So you feed these fruit to your mons and they learn the new moves. And they go into like almost like a storage of moves that this mon learns. And you can swap these moves out for whenever you need. You can go into the pals that are on your team and you can just, I don't want this lightning bolt move anymore. I want to put a water move on because I'm going to fight a boss that's a fire type.
I didn't know it went to that extent where you could literally have that situation. Also, I love the sub menu of moves because, like, I will tell you, that was the most annoying thing about Pokemon is when you have to choose what move you want. Now you can just switch them out on the fly.
Mm-hmm. And like none of them ever go away either. Like you don't have that one Pokemon that just has like essentially, I think everybody calls it this, a TM, where you just put all your moves that for like movement or flight or stuff like that on a singular mon. You can have those on that mon, and then you can also have like combat moves and stuff like that. Another thing that I like a lot is the base building. So it's not just like you can build anywhere, but you can't put down like certain structures or like furniture and stuff like that. That's only where you put down what's called your PAL deck. And once you put that down, you get this circle which extends in every level that you get for your base level. You have to complete certain objectives by either making certain structures like better springs so your mons don't get stressed while they're doing their work. You don't get or make better beds. You can make better furnaces and stuff. Like certain objectives will level up your base, which expands that circle. So it's not like you're able to really build out far. You have to build up. And I don't know, something about building giant towers in games that have different floors. Like in the main world where me and Subset are, I went all out and I built like 5-story tower where each of us have our own floor. It's got landing pads on each of our floors for the mons. It's got an under part of storage and stuff like that. And then on top, it's where Bobbert lives, where he's got his whole bar thing, because every time that he's built a base with us, he's the one putting down all the furniture and all the unique little items and stuff, which I appreciate. So I made him like his own bar with a backer and
I
essentially gave him the
entire. Oh no, this is a different.
Well, it's not even an attic because it's an open roof up top.
Not an attic anymore.
But in the world where we have our main world, where we have the most progression, he's got like the top roof all to himself, where he can decorate however he wants and stuff like that.
I am the roof troll, which is funny because trolls usually are under bridges.
But then
you're a gnome.
Also, Subset helped me out with he actually.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just laughing at what you were saying. But
I'm a gnome, and you've been no. Okay, sorry. I had to. All right, continue.
But Subset wanted to, he's always the farmer in these types of survival games. So he built an entire farm area that will be expanded as we unlock more of the different plots for the different roots. I think right now we got like tomatoes, berries, and wheat. Yes.
Tomatoes and wheat now.
The berries are in our first base that we made. But
I want to make some maters.
What he also did, and I really liked, was he made, instead of just having the beds on the ground, because they look like they can just sit on the ground, the pals actually go to them when it's nighttime, except for the ones that are actual nocturnal creatures. He actually made open houses for them where it's like almost like a half form of a house, and he's got like furniture in one of the offshoot areas for us to hang out in, with the beds laid out so the mons can actually have a place to live. And it looks real nice. And then on the other side, we have our like manufacturing, where we have all of our workbenches and stuff like that, and we have our power generator up top, which our mons can actually send power to.
We're gonna get a decent temple on a shoreline, a great view.
Yeah. And we actually have a pathway that splits these areas in two, and it's stone on the grass, and as soon as it hits sand, it turns into wood, almost like a dock, and goes almost all the way out to the water.
That I can't bring it up more, but you know, that's just what it is at the moment. I love my pals. Okay,
I do
just
too.
Like
I love this game.
What else was I? It's so fun to just like go off and get lost for hours just exploring this world, because it's vibrant. The different biomes are so cool. There's one that's literally built around an entire volcano that you can go into, and like you get to actually go to the center of the volcano, and you can like look up and actually see the sky from where you were exploring before. You can see there are these sanctuaries that Subset and the other person we're playing with has found, and there's like this tech company that is in charge of those areas, and they'll come after you if you go into them. I actually haven't gotten to explore them.
It is interesting.
Spooky.
Oh, spooky. It's like Team Rocket on steroids.
Yeah, there's this like different factions. There's like the Free Pal Alliance, which are like these activists that are there that are trying to. I don't know.
Sure about that?
Their whole shtick is that they want to like live in nature with the pals, but they also have camps where they're capturing pals themselves. And then there's the Syndicate, which is like the Team Rocket of the universe, and they just want to capture the pals all for themselves and use them for their power. And then there is the what is the tech company's name again? Subset?
The network, maybe. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure at the moment.
I can't remember. I actually have only seen them in little areas in the mainland. That's my kind of forte. Is I go off and explore, and they'd be like, "Hey, there's a new pal here. Teleport over here real quick."
We all meandered to different directions.
But
It's
I don't
like
know. The
Gemini in Dark Souls 3.
Hell yeah.
the exploration in the game is one of my favorites, just because the biomes are so like they're very different, but they fit together seamlessly. Like you'll have these areas between like the grass and desert biome where you'll see the like topography of the world actually change, and you'll see like less and less trees, and you'll see the ground start to change from grass to sand, stuff like that. And it's all in this very cutesy, cartoony style. And some of the mons in there are honestly really cool and really cute. One of my favorites is Catress, who is literally like she's supposed to be like a cat enchantress. And then there's the antithesis of her, which is Wixen, who is a fox witch. And in their little PAL deck entries, it actually explains that they're actual like arch nemesis, and they constantly fight against each other in the wild. So far I haven't seen any like, you know how they like Pokemon will have those really dark entries. I haven't seen any of.
I'ma say this real quick. I'm surprised it wasn't the one that's your favorite. Wink wonk.
It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. My favorite main one is Jetragon. It's the fastest flying mount in the game. I still haven't caught it yet because it's at level 50, but it literally is like this cyber tech dragon, and it's got like the Pokemon it's been most compared to is Latios, but it's got like these energized looking crystals on its back, and it's super cool looking. I love some of the designs, especially ones that, because there's a big flack, and even the creator of Pokemon, or the Pokemon Company is what they're called, has essentially said, yeah, we see these, shut up, quit talking about it. Like they made a whole statement, and it was essentially saying, yeah, we've heard that there's so many things. As of right now, we're not taking any action. And I did see something, and I sent it to the group a little while ago that said that they were, but that was debunked as a false thing. But yeah, I've kind of been the only one talking. So yeah.
I mean, I was going to dive into it, but I feel like when I start talking about it, I feel like I'm a chatterbox, so I wanted to hear everybody else's opinion about it first. Before I go into my thoughts on the game, Subset, I'd love to hear your thoughts real quick.
Gaben's mid.
Shut up, dude. It isn't, bro. You're just capping.
Well, I played enough survival games in my time to at least see good or bad, at least in my opinion. The gameplay, how everything goes down, and just the survival aspect, it's engaging, it's entertaining at least. It's, as Menace was bringing up, like the different changes in the biome, that's a really nice way to get yourself immersed in the land, in the atmosphere, and as different mons pop up. I will say, other than like small issues which they already fixed, like some frame rate issues, at least over here on Xbox, that I've been experiencing, it's been way of an improvement since it first came out. I remember like the first time we tried to load up, it was day of launch, and we crashed. I crashed like 3 times that day.
Oh yeah.
But you know, that's to be expected, at least nowadays.
I think it was server issues, because the Palworld team was talking about it on their Discord, but it was also the flood of people that came in. Like this game essentially it was teased way early on at one of the Game Awards, and then there were like 2 other trailers that were dropped for it, and essentially just Shadow came out one day and then blew up to unbelievable proportions for what it was.
I will say, would like to have a bit more into the base building. I feel like, granted, I'm still early on levels, because it does take a bit to go up in levels when you past like level 20. That's when you're in for the long ride to get experience.
And see, for me, because for those of you that don't know, I've been vehemently waiting for Kindred Fates to come out, and the fact that this game just dropped out of nowhere, I was so happy to play this. This game is literally one of my favorite games. It's amazing. I love every part of it, even the parts I'm bad at,
which is catching the mons.
Hey, like
and we're gonna talk, favorites. My favorite one out of the roster, granted, it was already early on, day one, Mammoth, big woolly mammoth, perfect, just perfect, the epitome of a unit.
It's understandable.
Big boy.
Yeah, my
some of them are like Fox Sparks.
Oh yeah.
See,
Love
you guys
guy.
like ones that are like that you see like 2 minutes into the game. Like Mammoth is the first boss you see just roaming around at the starting area.
Yeah, and
Fox Sparks is literally one of the first mons that you see. I don't know. I like the ones that you have to actually look and explore for. Like,
okay, fine. Beetle.
Warsect? Warsect.
Yes, Warsect.
But there's
along with the turtle, drill tortoise.
Oh, the drill tortoise. Another one that I really like is Yalen or Yalen, something like that. But I like her Noct version. She's like almost like a I don't want to say Blossom, more like a Gardevoir kind of look to her, but not near the same model. She's a plant type. But the passive she gives you, she'll heal you as you fight. So if you have her on your team, you could toss her out, and like as you're fighting with your guns and stuff, she'll heal you as you're going around.
So a heal bot.
Kind of, yeah.
That's the whole point.
I mean, like I said, I'm excited for all the new content coming out to the game. I hope they have I hope they're able to support the game for years, because I know there was a thing with Nintendo, like they were like, oh, we're looking into it, but like, come on. At this point, if they were gonna do illegal action, they would have already done it by now.
That is fair.
For myself personally, I've played barely 3.5 hours of the game.
Boo, play it more.
I don't feel like it, because this is coming, and you guys are coming from a perspective of you already had a predisposition for these types of games. Survival, that's fine. I don't mind. I like playing survival games on occasion. But you guys really like Pokemon, and I cannot stand Pokemon. I have played one game of Pokemon, not counting the mobile game, and even then, I thought that one was really stupid, Sword and Shield, just because of
the fact you couldn't get your favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, I literally only played maybe 3 hours of whichever one has Lotad in it, because that one's the only one that I even give 2 damn shits about.
I don't understand how it's not
For
that much
real?
evolutions. It's just Lotad.
No. It's the whole line.
Mm-hmm.
Lotad, Lombre, and Ludicolo. I love that line, but I already don't really like Pokemon, so I was kind of roped into playing it with some other people, and it wasn't bad. I can see the appeal. I can see it being a potentially very good game for the genre of being a monster taming arc, like an anime styled arc essentially.
Mm.
But for me personally, I don't like that kind of stuff already, so it couldn't grasp my attention. But from what I was able to enjoy, it was pretty enjoyable. I did like the designs of a good chunk of them. Like I said, I'm barely 3.5 hours in, so it didn't get too high level. My roommate, he had caught some kind of weird looking ferret creature. I think it's one of the roaming bosses, probably. It's some blue ferret looking mother.
Oh, chill it.
Yeah, the design was pretty cool. The weird little Leafeon looking thing that I guess you can get a gun for, that was cute.
Leaf bunk.
I think so. I'm not sure. I will admit, even as someone who doesn't like Pokemon, I was a little oof at some of the designs. I will admit some of them are a little on the nose. You do have to admit.
Oh yeah.
And that was and it's not even something that I thought was a bad thing in it being a bad game. I just feel it's a little too, it's a reaching too close to the sun kind of concept.
Well, my whole thing with that is you mix any element and an animal, it's gonna look like a Pokemon.
Exactly.
And that's fair. However, some of them are a little, again, on the nose, the weird look, what is it, Depresso or something?
I will say the only ones that, the only thing that'll happen for Palworld is that they may have to change designs of certain characters.
And honestly, if that's all it boils down to, then that's fine. I just don't want to see this game that started from rather humble roots and has blown up very quickly to get attacked by Papa Nintendo themselves just because they strayed a little too close.
They don't want to get taken out by the Nintendos.
Mr.
Yeah,
Miyamoto
that I don't want to see that because I have found it. It's not even the I don't want to see that because as much as I don't really care for the game and it's just a personal me issue, I do find it hilarious at a lot of these like Nintendo fanboys who are like hardcore hating and dumpstering on this game just because, oh no, the big multi-million-dollar company is, I just find it hilarious that people are like dumpstering on this game just because of like its similarities, and it's, the Nintendo fanboys that literally froth at the mouth at every little drop of nectar that Nintendo pushes their way.
Instead of, appreciating the game for what it actually is.
Yeah. I love a good Legend of Zelda, but I don't froth at the mouth every time like news comes out about Legend of Zelda.
I will say, though, if we're gonna go by gameplay wise and stuff like that, yes, some of the models of the Mon are really, really similar to Pokemon, but gameplay wise, it plays a lot more like Ark or Rust or those other type of survival build games more than any game.
Yeah, and that's what I think can help keep it afloat and also like kind of weigh it down, not in a bad way, but like I said, keeping it from reaching too close to the sun, just because of the fact it doesn't play like the other titles of Pokemon where it's, I don't even know, like I said, I didn't beat Sword or Shield, but from what I've been told by everyone that I've known who is a Pokemon fan, they're pretty much all the same. So that is one thing that is a good factor for Palworld. But my opinion is I can see the potential. It is a good game for the people who enjoy it. It's just for me personally, I can't get into it just because it's just not for me. I'm sure maybe when they've released more content and it's out of early access, maybe I can give it another try. But for right now, I give it it's okay. It's mid. But that's a me thing.
It's okay out of 2.
Yeah, I can see the appeal, but I'm just like,
it's not for everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my roommate, he's been playing the shit out of it. I see on like Steam and Discord, he's always playing Palworld. He is all gung-ho for enslaving those poor little creatures.
All right, and going from one gigantic game launch, we're going to talk about a DLC launch for, I think, the Game of the Year for 2023. I don't know if that's actually correct. It should have been Game of the Year. But Gemini, tell us what's going on with the Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree.
So if you are I know, me neither. But if you are a fan of the FromSoft games and you're a fan of Elden Ring, then you probably already know because like literally I think within like minutes of this trailer dropping, everyone was flocking to it because we have been hearing whispers of it for I'd say a few months now, almost close to half a year, that Elden Ring is in June 20th of this year, so it is coming soon. It's not like, in a year or two. It is coming in summer. The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, which, like I said, roughly 6 months to maybe a year ago, I'm not 100% positive on the time frame for this, they did a little bit of a teaser of a person on Torrent, the steed that you acquire in the game, in like a field, and it was like Shadow of the Erdtree, and that was all they said. And they kept hush-hush about it for now until just recently, where they dropped a very amazing trailer, pretty much just kind of giving a bit of like not even a description, just like it's like a storytelling trailer in a sense with what I can only assume would be Mikola, one of the like a background NPC that is mentioned and like alluded to, but you never really meet this character technically. And so the DLC is definitely a long awaited release due to the fact that Elden Ring has blown up ever since launch. I'm pretty sure Robbie is correct. It was Game of the Year for, if not last year, the year before, because it is 2 years old now. Elden Ring is 2 years old, surprisingly. So if it wasn't last year, I believe it was the year before that. I don't remember. I could look it up, but I'm lazy and don't feel like it. So that's my fault for not fact checking. Remember, kids, always fact check. Anyway, But there's been a lot of speculation just because of the fact that, one, that's just how FromSoft games are. They are very heavy in the lore, but they're not heavy in how they hand it to you. It's very secretive. You have to go and look for it, and that is very nice, and I like that. But just the amount of lore they have dumped in this trailer in such a subtle way is so intriguing. I'm sure all of us are very excited to find out more about the stories and the lore of the Lands Between and this new map that they said will be larger than the starting one, which is called Limgrave. It is going to be larger than Limgrave. It is a whole new map, which they do that all the time for their DLCs.
Excuse me? It's going to be larger than Limgrave?
Yes, they did say in an interview that the map of Shadow the Erdtree will be bigger than Limgrave. So
Limgrave also includes like the Renia and the mountaintop of the giants and all that. I'm going to get so lost in this game. I don't know what to do.
But yeah, it's in a new world called the Land of Shadow. I've already watched a lore video from Zuli the Witch. She makes such great lore videos. And it's just a 7-minute. I still have to watch Vati's, but that was like 40 to 50 minutes. And at the time, I was like, you know what? I don't have time to watch this right now, but I will eventually. I'm just really excited because not even just the expansion of the lore, it's very obvious that they're adding new bosses, they're adding new weapons, new armor, new incantations and spells, which are very nice because that's the type of playstyle that I like. Subset, I know you will probably be leaning towards some of those incantations along with you, Tyler, if they add anything along the lines of dragon, because one thing that I noticed is I think they're bringing back the dragon headstone kind of aspect or the dragon transformation from previous games, but I think they're twisting it from
the Dark Souls zone.
Yeah, because there was one scene where like it kind of looked like the dragon forms from the previous Dark Souls games, but it's a bear instead. And this is starting to dive into more like theories and lore speculation, so I'm not going to. But I think people think it might be linked to the rune bears in the game. Those things, by the way. But the biggest thing that I'm intrigued by is at the end, they pretty much showcased who I am going to naturally assume is probably the main villain, bad guy, boss of the DLC called Mesmer the Impaler. I really like his design. I am excited to learn about this because I just found out that in an interview, he is considered one of Marika's children. And with his design of the vibrant red hair, which is a signature trait of her husband, this is like a third child. And of that two union, we only knew of the twins, Mikola and Melania. That means there's a third, and I'm excited because I'm just a lore.
Wasn't Radagon one of?
He was one of the kids with Radagon and Renala. That was Ronnie, Radagon, and Rykard. And then Morgoth and Moog were Marika and Godfrey.
My head.
I know, too many G's, but yeah. So that's a third because throughout the game, it's just they talk about the twins, but because that's all you think there is. But from what it seems like, there's either they were triplets or Mesmer was like a younger, older sibling. And apparently a lot of this was also when I guess George R. Martin wrote a lot of the history for Elden Ring, because in case you didn't know or forgot, the man who wrote Game of Thrones, I forgot what it was for a second, he had collaborated with FromSoft and Miyazaki, the man who is, I swear to God, he loves poison swamps, because again, real quick note, there's a poison swamp in this DLC. God damn it, Miyazaki. Why?
No, really? It's gonna be
yeah.
What's the place in Dark Souls 3?
Yeah, I know. It's like after, or is it before or after the Abyss Watcher? I think it's after.
It's before. It's where you meet the spider lady.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Basically, yeah. I don't know why Miyazaki has the biggest hard-on for poison swamps. Every one of his games has a poison swamp in it, and yes, it is pretty much confirmed from the trailer. You do see it is shown that you are riding through a poison swamp, and everyone's like, God damn it, tone it down.
Well, everybody was praising that there wasn't a poison swamp in Elden Ring, so Miyazaki's probably like, you know what, it's time.
I mean, there's poison pools, but he upped his game from poison swamp to rot swamp, so like.
Also, I just want to state for the record,
what?
I guarantee you, this game is going to have like 5 DLCs, and I'm still not even a quarter of the way through it.
I don't think it'll have 5 DLCs. FromSoft doesn't tend to go that overboard with DLCs.
3 max.
Yeah, three is about max.
Yeah, 3. So I suspect maybe 2 more, but even then, I don't know, because I will admit the story of Elden Ring kind of was pretty solid. Then again, they're all pretty solid. Every one of FromSoft games are pretty solid and didn't necessarily
Usually the DLCs will go more into either the characters of the past, like how this one is doing and how like Dark Souls 1 DLCs did, and even some in 3, stuff like that. Or they'll go and introduce some of the other lore that was teased in some of the lore, like for the items and stuff, or some of the characters that you kind of heard about but never really knew much about.
Yeah, so like if they do have any other DLCs for Elden Ring, it would either be maybe about some of the other gods that were like mentioned but not really like expressed upon, such as like the Glowmite Queen, the Fire Giant's god, though I think that one's considered like dead. I'm not 100% sure.
Nothing's really dead in this franchise.
That's fair. Maybe another past one where it showcases like with Placidusax, and because he was considered like a godly being before America, and so like the dragon's god and everything, if they go through that route, because as Tyler had said, they like to expand on things that are already there, which is what a DLC should be. So if FromSoft does more DLCs, it would probably be about that, or maybe something like what they did with Dark Souls 3, were like a wrapping it up kind of DLC, but I don't know if they would do that, just because, you know, with Elden Ring it's 2 years old, but it's still a really fresh game. It's hard to say if they will plan to expand this franchise like they did with Dark Souls, or if they will just move on completely from it. I mean, it is still pretty big, not only in the sense of the game and what you can do, but just how popular it is. So I don't know if they're going to continue with the franchise like they did with Dark Souls and expand on it with more games, or if it's just going to be one and done with a couple DLCs peppered in. It's hard to really say what they'll do with it being only 2 years into its longevity, but in the end, FromSoft games are pretty eternal. I mean, there are people to this day who still play who play some of even their older titles that isn't Dark Souls, like the old Armored Core games and everything. With the Souls franchise, people probably still play the first Demon Souls on PS3, even though the servers have been shut down for a long time.
See, I can see them maybe not doing a DLC for like afterwards, because I'm very much in the camp of the main 3 endings for Elden Ring lead into the other Souls games, or Soulsborne games.
And would you really like that theory, because it does fit, and there are like little Easter eggs about the previous games in Elden Ring. But looking at it from like a more logical standpoint, that's just them referencing their old titles rather than it possibly being like linking to the other games. But I do like that theory that you had brought up a long time ago, in the endings like bleeding into the other games. Like the Moon one, you theorized that it could lead into Bloodborne. Frenzy would lead into...
It would lead into Demon Souls.
Demon Souls,
and then the main ending leads into Dark Souls.
Yeah, I do like that idea. And honestly, in technicality, a lot of people do consider Demon Souls to be the prequel to Dark Souls. As I say, a lot of people consider Demon Souls to be the prequel to Dark Souls. It's never been confirmed.
Prequel, Demon Souls.
Yeah, like granted, that's never been confirmed or denied by From Software or Miyazaki or anybody who works on the game, unless it has, and I'm completely talking out of my ass right now. But
Yes,
no, it's still considered a fan theory.
Okay, so yeah, that's never been confirmed or denied, but I like to believe that that's the case. In all honesty, I am completely on board with the whole idea that they're all linked, because when I made my character, I have a whole story headcanon for them, because I'm a goddamn dork who can't play a single RPG without doing some form of the role-playing aspect, because I just am that kind of person. I am the type of person where when I play Skyrim, I'm not playing Skyrim as like, you know, hee hee ha ha shouting at dragons. I am literally immersing myself in the character. It is very sad. The whole time I'm playing it, I am imagining the story. I am personally like talking to myself, acting out the story.
I do the same exact thing.
Like
Practice the the Destroyer. Well, if we're going off a prequel, this is the great-great-grandfather of Praxis the Destroyer.
Oh yeah, no, my character for Elden Ring, it's the whole story I have is they are the daughter of my Dark Souls 3 character, but sent into the past because of some fucky timey shit, and it is so sad when I was thinking of that at the same time. I was so excited.
I mean, that is essentially what happens. Okay, so
It happens, man.
going back to this theory, it is said that the moon ending leads into Bloodborne. The frenzied flame ending leads into Dark Souls. The dark ending, I can't remember what it is, like the death ending leads into Demon Souls, and then the rot ending leads into Dark Souls 2 specifically.
Okay.
Oh,
So it's actually 4 of the.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I know I'm gonna play it. They do have a nice little pre-order bundle where you get a whole menage of like stuff. You get like a little figure. Actually, I think it's a pretty decent sized figure of. Again, I'm naturally assuming that he's gonna be the big head honcho of the DLC because Mesmer the Impaler literally is getting his own statue, so he's probably like the main driving force, the main force to defeat of the DLC and everything.
No, they just wanted to give him a statue.
I mean, he does have a pretty cool design. I will admit, he does have a really cool design.
in the board meetings, they're just like, all right, we need to make a statue. Who do we make it as? The protagonist? No, that's too easy. The antagonist? No, that's the fan choice. How about this one random guy in this one village? Yes.
That
I mean,
guy.
they can't do the protagonist because, there's no set
the
protagonist.
Oh, yeah. Everybody is the protagonist.
I mean, in theory, if they did choose a protagonist, it could be Mikola. They could do its Mikola statue. That'd be pretty cool.
I just want to say, I hate the concept of not having a protagonist when it's just, it's the chosen one. Insert your character. I hate it.
That's what I fucking love about RPGs. I hate when it's a predetermined protagonist. What? I hate predetermined protagonists. That pushes me away from RPGs because I'm looking to
immerse myself into the game.
I can get that.
I want to be the character going through this.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm looking to make my sad little self in this RPG and roleplay myself in this game because I am a narcissistic sad nerd.
Hey,
Oh my gosh.
Preach, sister, preach!
I
want to go
having well-written characters.
Well, there's a difference between having. Dude, this is what I don't think you get. Literally, yes, the character is you, but it doesn't put that whole insert character here thing. Every other character that you meet in the game has backstory. Every boss that you fight in the game has massive pages and pages of lore that span back hundreds to thousands of years in this world.
I'm not saying that there's no good writing in the game. I'm just saying I like it when they put effort into a backstory of the protagonist and give them their own identity.
But that's where your creativity is meant to come through.
That's why you have this.
That's
why you have this big customization for your character. That's why you have multiple endings to where you can choose where you want your story to go.
Yeah, like that's the whole caveat and the point of any RPG that does that, where you create the character because you are the one who is to say what happened to your character, why they're doing this, their drive for their choices in the game and the endings you choose. And yeah, you can claim that it's bad writing, but it's not, because that's literally how RPGs are.
And to go back to what you said, Robert, the fact that we are the chosen one in at least in Elden Ring, we're not the chosen, and most of the Souls games, we're not the chosen one.
We're just a dude.
We are one of many that have failed before. We are one of the tarnished. We are one of the Ashen ones. The Ashen one is technically someone who, at least for Dark Souls, going back to Dark Souls 3, the Ashen one is someone who completed the Souls cycle and then failed right at the end.
Yeah, like there technically is a little bit of a twinge of backstory with these is, yeah, you're not a chosen hero. You are just a person who has stepped up to attempt to take hold of the mantle. Think of it as wrestling, honestly. Like, think of it as a wrestling storyline.
With wrestling, you have characters you can connect with. That's a wrestling game. I don't play wrestling games. I watch wrestling.
Okay, Robert, you've played a little bit of Elden Ring. All the actual normal human NPCs that you meet, like in your hub world and stuff, they are also tarnished, just like you.
Yeah, and even with I know with some games they do fall into that you are the chosen hero, but at least with From Software games, not once are you ever regaled as the chosen hero. 9 chances out of 10, they look at you and they're like, oh hey, you're some doofus, aren't you?
I think most of them literally call you another lowly tarnished. Like, tarnished are like the lowest form of people on the totem pole, besides like people who've been corrupted and have no sanity anymore, obviously.
Yeah, like in a lot of these games, they're pretty much just like, oh, you're one of those things. Okay, well, see ya, loser. And then they ride off.
Don't die.
Yeah, they're like, don't die, idiot. And then, a couple bit later, then maybe they might be all like, and then they're like, oh, you're still alive? Okay, you're not as shit as I thought you were. Like, never once, maybe one or two characters, but that's because maybe they're so far gone or they have such an idealized sense of things. They might consider you like to be the shit, but most of them are like, oh, you're just some guy, aren't you? Okay, don't die, loser.
Yeah, essentially.
No, I get that.
But I do get what you mean. There are some RPGs where they do, like, the whole introductory cutscene plays, and they're like, you are Xenogorth, the chosen...
The chosen one.
No, they wouldn't have a name. It's just like, you are insert name here, the chosen hero of the lands, and you are the only one who can prevail. Like, yeah, some games do that. I know Dragon Age Inquisition kind of does that a little bit.
See, the game that does it the best is South Park Stick of Truth.
Okay.
Come on.
Oh, he's not wrong.
It's
He's
literally
not
the
wrong.
You
best.
know, it's another game that actually does it pretty well. The first Dragon Age. You're just some person that they pick up and they're like, oh, hey, you want to join our army? And you're like, okay, cool. I guess you saved my life. And then shit goes topsy-turvy and you and, some other knight are the only ones left. And it's just like, well, we have to kind of pick up our bootstraps and continue or the world's going to end because we're the only two that really can do anything about it because of our ability. So, well, hey, let's get going. Like, that's another game that kind of does it where, you're not particularly stated as like the big kahuna until later when people start realizing you're doing shit. In the beginning, it's just like, oh, hey, you want to join our crew? And it's just like, okay, I guess. But moving on from the anticipating okay. Hey, moving on from and son of a bitch.
You got this third time's the charm.
I know.
What the was that?
I did a whole hand flourish to continue because I talked with my hands and my
You're like gabagool.
pretty much. Oh my god.
That was great for the audio listeners of this podcast.
I know it's at some points like I do kind of wish we like were at least like in where other podcasts where like either we're all together or at the very least we had cameras. I don't want that, but at the same time for moments like this because I was all flourishing and everything with my hands and then I just paused.
It's just silent.
Anyway,
Just why didn't you take over? I waved you on.
Yeah, come on, guys. I motioned to you.
Anyway.
Well, that has been a long overdue two-parter because it's apparently grew to that size. But you know what? That's just how the showbiz goes. But yeah, thank you all for listening to just our degenerate ramblings about media. If I'm going to be honest, I'm just kidding. I love you guys. But thank you so much to my lovely friends for joining us. Thank you, Gemini.
A pleasure as always.
Thank you, Subset.
Heyo.
And thank you, Menace.
Of course.
I really loved your passion when it came to Palworld. But that is it for all of us. For those of you watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. For those of you listening on the CJSW Network, go check out all the rest of the content they have to offer. And we will see you guys in the next one. Farewell.
You're a bitch.
Bye-bye.
Heyo.
Bye.
Uncalled for.
Oh, I didn't put one in there. I had to put one in there at least.
Bitch, Bubba, you're a bitch.
At least I waited until after you were doing the CJSW stuff.
No, that's fair. I also ended the recording.